In a dimly lit upscale lounge, two friends are deep in conversation. The blonde woman, wearing an intricate lace-patterned top and a dark cardigan, leans in close to her friend with a serious expression. She drops a bombshell of a suggestion, her voice carrying a tone of mischievous conviction as she declares that the first step in their plan must be the most scandalous one. You gotta start by stealing Na-young's boyfriend. The camera zooms in on the redhead's face, capturing her pure, unadulterated shock. Her large, reddish-brown eyes widen, and her breath hitches as the weight of her friend's suggestion sinks in. Clad in elegant silver geometric earrings, she looks frozen, staring back at her companion in disbelief, her mind racing to process such a bold and risky idea. The tension snaps as the redhead can no longer contain herself. A muffled "puffed" escapes her lips as she instinctively raises a hand to cover her mouth. Despite the gravity of the mission, the sheer absurdity of the plan strikes her funny bone. She leans back slightly, her eyes crinkling with amusement as she begins to chuckle, signaling that she might be more like her devious friend than she let on. Seeing her brilliant plan being met with laughter, the blonde woman becomes playfully indignant. She reaches out, placing a hand on her friend's shoulder to get her attention, her expression a mix of annoyance and eagerness. She snaps back with a loud, defensive question. "What? Are you laughing at my idea?" The atmosphere at the bar remains lively, with golden drinks sitting untouched as the drama unfolds between them. While her friend continues to giggle into her hand, the blonde woman leans further across the dark marble table, her gaze fixed and determined. She doesn't back down for a second. With a firm, unwavering tone, she adds a final exclamation to prove her sincerity. "I mean it." It's clear that while it started with a laugh, this friendship is built on shared secrets and a very real, very messy agenda. The blonde woman, Moa, doubles down on her logic, shifting into a chibi, expressive style to emphasize her point. She slams her hand on the table with a determined bang as she lays out the evidence of Na-young's feelings. She argues that if a heavy smoker like Na-young actually quit smoking for this guy, she must be truly infatuated. Moa insists with fierce conviction. This is the perfect way to get back at her. As the impact of Moa's words settles, the redhead begins to see the twisted logic in the plan. Still in their adorable, exaggerated forms, the redhead looks contemplative, her finger near her chin as she weighs the risks. Recognizing the effort Na-young has put into this relationship makes the idea of stealing him even more effective as revenge. She finally murmurs, "Well, you have a point." The scene returns to the detailed, elegant art style as the redhead is lost in her own thoughts. While Moa continues to push the plan, the redhead harbors a secret she hasn't shared yet. A bead of sweat drops down her face as she wonders to herself, "Should I tell Moa that I've already tried?" This internal monologue reveals that she may have already made a move on the mysterious guy, adding a layer of hidden history to their plot. Suddenly, the rhythmic flow of their plotting is broken by a sharp sound from the entrance. A ding echoes through the lounge, signaling the arrival of someone new. Both women stop their hushed whispering, their attention drawn away from their drinks and toward the door. An off-screen voice is heard reacting in surprise. "Whoa, hey!" The atmosphere in the bar shifts instantly. A woman in the foreground is seen blushing and whispering into her hand, completely awestruck. She tells her companions to take a look at the guy who just came in, admitting she initially mistook him for a celebrity. In the background are two protagonists, the redhead and Moa, turn their heads in unison, their eyes fixed on the entrance as the very man they were just discussing finally makes his grand appearance. The heavy doors of the dimly lit lounge swing open as a tall, imposing figure steps inside. Dressed in a sleek, dark blazer over a textured black shirt, Yeon-hyuk carries an air of quiet authority. He pauses for a moment at the entrance, his expression unreadable and cold, as the ambient purple light of the room catches the sharp lines of his silhouette. As he moves further into the room, the atmosphere seems to shift. The frame focuses on his striking features, piercing eyes, and a stern, composed face. Surrounded by a faint artistic motif of blue roses, he looks like someone who commands attention without saying a word. His gaze is fixed forward, seemingly indifferent to the crowd around him. Nearby, a woman named So-young catches a glimpse of the newcomer. She is instantly startled, her body tensing as her eyes widen in disbelief. A cold sweat breaks out as she thinks to herself in a panic, "Yeon-hyuk, why is he here?" The sudden appearance of a man from her past, or a man she didn't expect to see, has clearly shaken her to her core. Overwhelmed by anxiety, So-young instinctively turns away, shielding her face with her hand to avoid being spotted. She hunches her shoulders, trying to make herself invisible against the bar counter. Her companion, a blonde woman sitting beside her, notices the sudden change in demeanor. Placing a concerned hand on So-young's back, she asks, "So-young, what's wrong?" But So-young remains frozen, terrified of the man now walking through the same room. With a heavy, rhythmic clump of his shoes against the floor, Yeon-hyuk walks deeper into the bar. His hands are casually tucked into his pockets, but his stride is purposeful. He passes by the seating area, a dark shadow moving through the neon-lit space, unaware, or perhaps simply uncaring, of the eyes beginning to follow him. As Yeon-hyuk strides through the room, he becomes the immediate center of attention. His powerful build and sharp tailoring don't go unnoticed. Even the blonde woman, unaware of So-young's internal panic, can't help but marvel at him. She exclaims in awe, "Huh? Whoa, look at that guy's physique," as her eyes follow his confident movements through the lounge. The man moves like a dark force through the social space, his hands tucked casually in his pockets as he passes the bar area. The atmosphere grows thick with tension for So-young, who is still trying to remain unnoticed. The phrase, "speak of the devil," hangs in the air, emphasizing the almost supernatural timing of his appearance just as he was on her mind. While So-young flinches and tries to hide, the blonde woman enters a state of deep thought, her appearance shifting to a chibi style to reflect her internal pondering. She touches her chin, trying to place where she has seen him before. She wonders if they had met on a blind date in the past, but quickly dismisses the idea, reasoning that there is no way she could ever forget a man with such a striking and memorable presence. The scene closes with a tight, dramatic close-up of So-young's face. Her expression is a mix of dread and reluctant admiration. Even through her fear and the sweat beading on her skin, she cannot deny the reality of the situation. Looking toward him, she admits to herself that, regardless of why he is there or how she knows him, he is unbelievably handsome. It isn't just the two friends watching him. Yeon-hyuk seems to draw the gaze of every woman in the room. He is soon approached by another elegant woman who looks up at him with a clear sense of admiration. Observing the scene from afar, the blonde woman remarks on his undeniable magnetism, noting that it seems women simply won't leave a man of his stature alone. The woman makes her move. She approaches a tall man dressed in a sharp, dark suit. She stands before him with a polite, charming smile, her posture confident. She reaches out and gently takes hold of his sleeve or arm, stopping him in its tracks. The height difference is striking, emphasizing the man's imposing presence and her bold decision to intercept him. The story begins with a close-up of a woman with long, wavy auburn hair. She is at an upscale lounge or bar, indicated by the softly blurred rows of wine glasses and bottles in the background. Her expression is observant and slightly analytical. As she watches a man across the room, she notes to herself, he does look a bit troubled, though, implying she has been watching him long enough to notice his discomfort. The camera shifts slightly to a side profile, focusing on her contemplative mood. Her gaze remains fixed on the man. A thought bubble appears, revealing her hesitation. Should I go and help him? She is weighing the pros and cons of intervening in his current situation, sensing an opportunity but unsure of the timing. As she decides to approach, her internal monologue reveals a more strategic motive. The jagged, thought bubble-style frames suggest intense, private calculation. She thinks, even if he doesn't accept my proposal, it'd still be good to have him owe me, even just a little. This highlights that her help isn't purely out of kindness. She is playing a social or professional game of leverage. Suddenly, the scene shifts to a different character, a blonde woman with floral earrings who seems to be an onlooker or perhaps the person the man was originally with. The sound effect "stand" looms over the panel as the man reacts abruptly. The blonde woman looks up with a startled, wide-eyed expression, sweat beads forming on her face as she is caught off guard by the sudden movement or the intrusion of the auburn-haired woman. The tense atmosphere is punctured by a sharp, loud exclamation. From across the space, someone shouts in a mix of confusion and indignation, "Hey, where are you going?" The bold, jagged lettering of the speech bubble emphasizes the suddenness of the interruption, drawing the attention of everyone in the immediate vicinity. Caught in the middle of the growing drama, the woman with the long auburn hair brushes a hand through her locks with a subtle rustle. Her profile shows a hint of frustration or perhaps a realization that her calculated plan is hitting a messy snag. She remains composed, but the way she touches her hair suggests she is recalibrating her next move amidst the chaos. The scene becomes a blur of motion as people shift within the dimly lit lounge. The auburn-haired woman stands tall in her white blouse and high-waisted black skirt, her figure sharp against the out-of-focus guests around her. The focus pans past a smiling man in the foreground, highlighting the disconnect between the casual social setting and the high-stakes interaction unfolding between the main players. The perspective shifts to a woman in a pink top who is leaning in close to the tall man, her face wearing a persistent, blushing smile. She seems oblivious to his discomfort, pushing her luck by saying, "Oh, come on, just give me your number." Her playful but pushy demeanor makes it clear why the man looked so troubled earlier in the evening. Finally, the man draws a hard line. As the woman in pink continues to hold onto his arm, trying to keep him from leaving, he delivers a cold, clear rebuttal. The speech bubble is centered and blunt as he states simply, "I have a girlfriend." This definitive statement acts as a shield, intended to end the unwanted pursuit once and for all.